Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Nerd Book Blog, a nerdy book blog where we talk all things books. Today I'm going to be talking about Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. And before I get into that though, I want to talk about a recent impulse buy. I literally just like 3 days ago got a Kindle, which is literally the cutest little thing. I love it. So like I've read on a tablet that was LED screen, but this has a really like matte look to it. I don't know if the camera is picking that up, but it's really good for reading like at night. It's good for reading in the sunlight, which is something that I struggle with the LED screen, because I'd get outside in the sun and I could see myself and not the pages. So I'm so excited. And I have to give a shout out to @KTS Book Corner for posting pictures of her Kindle, and it's super cute, and I was like, I need that, and I literally bought it like right then. But if you're interested, just some information, this one is called the All New Kindle, and it was less than $100, so I mean it's relatively cheap, but glare free, lasts for hours, holds thousands of books. Like, I am so pumped about this. But yeah, so I literally just got this yesterday. I think I might have ordered it Monday or Tuesday, but yeah, so super excited. Link in the description if you're interested. So back to Sorcery of Thorns. I love it so much. It was so good. Like, I was getting some like a Discovery of Witches vibes, even I would dare I say Harry Potter vibes. Like, it was so good. The version that I'm actually holding, I listened to the audiobook, but this version came out of one of the Owl Crate boxes. I'm sure you guys know which month it was, but I can't remember which month it was. But yeah, so this cover is a little bit different than, I guess, the mass marketed one. I think it was like maybe a green color, and this one's more of like a purple. But anyways, before I get into anything with spoilers, I thought the characters were so, like, I just fell in love with all of them. Like, even the characters that you're like designed to absolutely hate, like, it was just, all of them were just so well done. I loved Nathaniel's sarcasm. I love the whole like idea of the book. I mean, I just don't know. It had magic, sorcery, demons, libraries, freaking books. Like, you cannot go wrong. I seriously love this so much. Like, it's honestly a new favorite, and I wasn't even expecting to like it. So if you watch my other video, you know that I semi-DNF'd Wicked Saints and got this instead on audiobook to listen to while we were on vacation, and best decision ever. This book was awesome, and I literally just like tore through it. So if you're not interested in spoilers, you may want to leave now. So the back of the book says, if you loved the Hogwarts library, you'll be right at home at Summershaw. Tightly paced, hugely atmospheric, with a touch of wry humor, this book had me from its gothic beginning right to the perfect end. And I feel like that couldn't have been said any better. Like, it totally did remind me of the Hogwarts library and just the magic of Hogwarts. So Elizabeth Scrivener is an apprentice in the Great Library, which houses these magical books. So the public does not have access to these books, and there's like different levels. So they're called grimoires, and like a lower level grimoire could be accessed by, say, like anybody, but like the level 6s and anything past that, a sorcerer can only access these, or somebody who really knows their way around the grimoires. So essentially, Elizabeth's quest is to become a warden, which is kind of a bigger deal than being an apprentice. A warden, I think, has like full range of accessing the books, and really just a status level higher. But anyways, so Elizabeth was orphaned, and she was kind of raised in this great library. And one night, Elizabeth wakes up and she hears something, and there's this one book that's called the Book of Eyes, and it is like, it sounds super creepy. It's like really messed up, and it's, I think the eyes were, I think if I remember this correctly, the eyes were from like, I don't know if like people that sorcerers had like killed and put their soul or essence into the book. Maybe I'm not understanding that, but that's kind of what it sounded like to me. So anyway, she wakes up and she basically sees the Book of Eyes turn into this malefect, I don't know. But anyway, so it turns into something, and the director, which she basically has been raised by, is dead. And so Elizabeth is the witness to that. And basically what happens is it blows up, and people, or I want to say the chancellor is like, Elizabeth is guilty, and is kind of, and he's working on bringing, and his name is Ashcroft. So Ashcroft is working on bringing Elizabeth to him. So Nathaniel, a sorcerer that she had met earlier in the book, he pops back in and is like, I'm here to escort you. And Elizabeth does not trust him at all. She was kind of raised to like not trust sorcerers, and that sorcerers were super untrustworthy, and that they had demons, and like demons are bad, which demons are bad, but maybe not all of them, as this book would show. But yeah, so they're on this adventure to go to, Nathaniel's taking her to Ashcroft. Well, throughout that journey, she's super skeptical, and she's like, what is he up to? Like, Nathaniel's gonna kill me, he's a sorcerer, like, what is going on? So they get to the door, and Nathaniel's about to drop her off to the chancellor, and this thug basically takes her and has his like knife up to her throat and is gonna kill her. And Nathaniel is so sarcastic and like chill in every like situation in which I would personally be freaking out. But so basically during this attack, these lesser demons or malefics come out of nowhere, and it's a full-on ambush, and somehow they narrowly escape the situation and like fight for their lives. And the chancellor shows up at some point and in front of the townspeople and is like, oh, Miss Elizabeth, like, I'm so glad that you're okay. And she was basically called him out and was like, well, you were gonna take me into your custody, as I recently found out. And he was like, oh no, that was a mistake, you are actually a hero, and come with me. So she is essentially imprisoned by Ashcroft for a while, and he actually admits her into a mental hospital later to make her less credible and kind of get rid of her. And this is after he performed like a series of tasks and like interrogations, and basically kept Elizabeth prisoner. And so she escapes this mental hospital, and she's really in a predicament at this point because Ashcroft is like in such a position of power, and he could really do anything, especially because he's now got her where people will think that she's mental, and that she has, you know, a mental illness, and that she's not right, and that she can't be thinking for herself. And she's like, no matter what she does, her next move, it's going to be, well, she escaped from the mental hospital and we need to get her back in there. And then there's kind of hints that people are in there, especially Mercy is one of the girls she meets there. People are there under Ashcroft's doings that probably don't even need to be there. So next, she reunites back with Nathaniel, and they're working really hard with Catrian and Silas. And Silas is Nathaniel's demon servant, and they're all working together like super closely to try to figure out like what is going on. Like, Elizabeth has figured out that Ashcroft is a jerk and is trying to destroy all these libraries, and like, why is he doing this? So they're in this pursuit to try to like figure out what the heck he is doing, and how can we like warn people that he is the one that is attacking all the people. Like, he killed the director and all of these other things. So they're trying to prove this. And basically what happens is they're using this mirror to talk to Catrian, and they come up with this great plan that, okay, well, we'll go, since Nathaniel, he comes from like a long line of sorcerers, so he kind of has that clout and prestige. And so Elizabeth comes up with this idea that they're going to go to this ball and confront him in front of like literally everybody, so Ashcroft has nowhere to go. So they do this, and they're like, listen, we know that you basically tried to erase my mind with sorcery, it didn't work, and you tried to put me in a mental hospital, I escaped, and we know what you're going to do, and we know that you're responsible for all of this going on. Well, he's like, he basically gets out of that situation. He's like, I have matters to attend to, and so he leaves. And so they're like, yes, like, we definitely just won, like, Ashcroft has been put in his place. But like, that is literally just the beginning. I mean, I felt like every time you get to this point that you think you know what's going to happen and you're like, okay, done, check, like something much crazier happens. Like it is just, it's so good. But anyways, so they're up in this room and Nathaniel's acting kind of strange, and Elizabeth is like, she gets that feeling that something is going on. Next, there's this epic battle with Ashcroft because he pops back in and he's like, I knew you were going to confront me because I have magical artifacts in Nathaniel's house and I could see you guys scheming this whole time. And here I am, surprise. So, epic battle. Silas dies, actually, at this point, which is so upsetting because you get to, like really like Silas's character, and I think that you like his character more and more and more, and just, you really do, you fall in love with all of these characters. Anyways, so after this epic battle is over and they narrowly escape and Ashcroft escapes, they present the public with, look, like this is Ashcroft's like cane slash sword with the griffin head, and this is proof that he was just up there attacking us. So now everybody knows that Ashcroft is like insane and he's the one plotting the attacks, and so they're trying to get to him. Well, his, I guess, mansion or whatever he lives in is a literal fortress of wards, and it cannot basically be penetrated. So people are trying to get to him and it's not happening because he has like ancient magic and spells that have his place totally fortified, so they're not getting in there. In the meantime, Nathaniel wakes up out of his, I guess, short coma, and Elizabeth is like, I have some really bad news, like Silas is dead. Nathaniel freaks out, but he doesn't totally freak out. He's just like super mad that the people in there helping to like help him recover are using like Silas's like tray, and they're using his stuff, and he freaks out and he's like, get out. And so Elizabeth's like, I'm so sorry, like, yeah, this really sucks. But then Nathaniel is like, okay, follow me. So they, you know, he hobbles in to this room. There's a pentagram on the floor, and he's like, we just gotta resummon him. And at this point, you as the reader are like, oh my gosh, like you're just gonna bring you back, just gonna resummon him. And I'm sure Elizabeth was thinking the same thing. She was probably like, wow, I literally like cried about this, like was so upset. So they summon Silas back. Hey, so Silas is back. Okay. So now the plotting begins again because they're like, we've got to warn, I forget which one, it's like the main one, maybe it's the Royal Library, like the big bad library, like the most important library of all of the surrounding libraries. At this point, you might kind of know what is happening. It took me a little bit to catch up to this. I should have saw this coming, but okay. So they go to the Royal Library and they're trying to warn the director there. And he's acting like a total jerk, and he's like, I don't know what you're doing, but Elizabeth, you are an apprentice and you're doing like demon stuff and you're hanging out with the sorcerer and you've been corrupted to the dungeons. Okay, so now Nathaniel and Elizabeth are in the dungeons, and they're, at this point you're like, well, they're fricked. Then Elizabeth figures it out. She's like, something is way wrong. Like, he didn't care about our warning. Something's off. And this is the point that she figures out that through some gypsy magic or dark black magic, Ashcroft has taken over that director's body. Okay, so he is actually Ashcroft. At least that's how I understood it. Maybe I interpreted this completely wrong, but that's how I felt it happened. So I'm just gonna roll with it. So Elizabeth and Silas and Nathaniel, they break out of the dungeon and they're on his heels, and this is the point that you find out that all of the libraries, and this is where I'm kind of surprised I did not catch on to this sooner, all of the libraries that have been attacked are positioned in the shape of a pentagram. So it's basically this huge summoning of this massive freaking demon, and that is what, and honestly the rationale for Ashcroft doing this was never really clear to me. Like, he thought he was doing something really good. It really didn't make a lot of sense to me at all. But anyways, So he's like, oh, you guys will see in a minute, like, I'm just gonna, like, summon this demon. And you're just like, what is wrong with this guy? Like, why does he think this is a good idea? Like, literally nobody thinks this is a good idea. So he summons the demon, and it's huge, and it's wreaking havoc, and Elizabeth is like, somehow she gets the grimoires to, like, fight for her. Like, she realizes that she is one with the library, so she gets them to kind of be on her side, and so they're, like, attacking the demon. And then there's so many, like, layers and elements of this book that I'm, like, not even doing it justice. Like, you just have to read this. Like, you have to read it, listen to it, or do something, because I'm missing little points that just have such backstory and layers, and that you just need to know to appreciate this. It is so good. But anyways, so the finale is, so you've got this huge freaking demon. The library's, like, crumbling around them. They're in grave danger. Silas is kind of just, like, hanging out, like, he's got that look like, yeah, like, we're all going to die at this point. And this is one of the layers that I didn't mention earlier, but would have been super helpful for you to know at this point. But Elizabeth realizes now that she has the power to release Silas. Well, now she releases him from his contract with Nathaniel. He is going to become, he's not a servant, like a docile, like seemingly docile servant demon. He's going to turn into the real thing, and it's not going to be good because he's bloodthirsty and crazy when he's his real demon self. So when Elizabeth releases him, he could potentially eat Elizabeth and Nathaniel, because when he's released, all bets are off. Like, he's no longer a servant. He is out for blood. So Elizabeth frees him and speaks his, like, official name, and he of course turns into this huge, like, demon. And there's, like, a breakthrough. Like, Nathaniel's talking to him as if he is still, like, Silas, like the servant, and Elizabeth is speaking to him in the same way. And he actually, it's like that moment of he's not a ravenous demon, and he does have some feelings, even though this whole world believes that demons do not have any such thing. And he literally sacrifices himself at this point, and he kills the freak massive demon that was summoned by the giant library pentagram. And he basically, the whole library comes down at that point. And you're led to believe that Ashcroft is in prison somewhere, so he must have survived it, and Elizabeth and Nathaniel barely survive it, but they do, and Silas is completely gone. And there is no resummoning him because he was freed. But the very ending is so perfect. Like, it is just one of those endings. So Elizabeth basically tries something else. So throughout the book, Elizabeth always has, like, these great ideas. Like, she just randomly, it dawns on her, and I love every moment of that. Like, she just is like, wait, like, maybe this would work. And she's not afraid to try it, which I think is awesome. She follows her gut, she follows her heart, and, like, always makes these big decisions, and is very confident in her decisions. She doesn't second guess them. So anyways, she has this idea, like, what if the only thing we haven't tried is my blood, because it was one point she was tied to Silas as well, when they resummoned him. And she's like, what if my blood would? So she goes to the pentagram in Nathaniel's house, and she cuts herself, puts some blood on the pentagram, and all the lights illuminate, all the candles illuminate, and that's the end. Which is the perfect ending. Like, it's that, like, you know he's coming back, and you're like, girl, you left room for book 2, and I am totally down for it. Like, I hope that this author writes a second one, because I would absolutely read it. And that's my review. So I totally loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. Would listen to it again, and will absolutely probably read the hardcover at some point, because I think I have a new favorite. But okay, well, thanks for watching. Bye!